Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Bachel, and welcome back to another episode of the Rock Roundtable. Now, here in the recent past, we did episode ranking the Beatles album openers. There was actually a two-parter because we spent a lot of time arguing of the best Beatles album openers. Today, though, we're going to do something kind of the inverse of that. We're going to be doing the Beatles album closers. So basically, the last song on every Beatles album. So we're going to be trying to rank them. We've got every album here according to the UK versions of each album, although we do have the US version, Magical Mystery Tour. We also weren't sure exactly how to classify the last song of Abbey Road, so we just put the whole Abbey Road medley here because that was the best I could get people to agree on. I just really wasn't sure. So yeah, some kind of interesting caveats that come with this sort of definition of Beatles album closers, but otherwise we have it here pretty good. So today with me I have Ben.
I hold the news today, oh boy.
Matthew,
About a lucky man who made the trade.
and Santiago.
The way you say goodbye and say hello.
Alright, so for the first two songs we have Twist and Shout and Money, That's What I Want, so we need to rank these songs in relation to each other. Ben, how do you think they should be ranked?
Come back to me.
Alright.
No, actually, obviously that call order is totally fine. I'm kidding. Don't worry.
Matthew?
I agree. I think Twist and Shout is probably top three best Beatles closers. And it also probably their best cover they've ever done of a song. And then Money, I mean, I don't like the version, but the original version is to me is way better, so I'll keep it in that ranking.
Santiago, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I will keep it the same. Like the first place will be Twist and Shout, and the second place will be Martin. But of course, I will not say like Twist and Shout is the best album. It's the best Beatles album. Closer. If we talk about the whole discography, of course. Well, yeah, it's a great song. Honestly, it's really a very, very solid closer for being the very first album of their discography. So yeah, I will place in the first place.
Alright, and I'll say my piece now. Yeah, I mean, I think this is what, two with Tristan Shout and then Money. Tristan Shout, that's a great one. It's probably the best one here for a while that we're going to run into. It's probably the best album closer for quite a long while, so yeah. Alright, so after that is From a Hard Day's Night. I'll Be Back. What are your thoughts on where she should rank I'll Be Back? Ben, we'll start with you.
It should be at the bottom of these three.
Matthew?
I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna say it's between money, and Twist and Shout.
Santiago?
Wait, I'm trying to remember that song. Wait, it wasn't the one they say, and then
Yeah, that one. That's it.
Okay, okay, that's the song. Well, I think I really love that song actually. I would say it's one of my favorite on Hard Day's Night, and as a closer, yeah, I will leave it there in the third place.
Okay, well, we're about to have a problem because we're about to run into a tie because I agree with Matthew. Um, so me and Matthew won it in second. Ben and Santiago won it in third.
Debate Club.
Well, I like this one. I think it's a kind of a Lennon McCartney original. It's got kind of a vibe to it that also kind of their next album had in a way, but it's kind of got a kind of a mid Beatles vibe in a way. It's got good sort of harmony vocals from Paul and John. It's not like the most outstanding track in this style, but I do think it works. It kind of has that classic Beatles feel, which, in my opinion, Money, That's What I Want doesn't exactly in the same way. Like, it doesn't show off like Paul or John's really their sort of collaborative styles. So that's where I'm going with I'll Be Back.
Can I say my piece?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, basically to restate what I think. I think it's because I've heard the original version of Money beforehand. It kind of colors my view about the Beatles cover, which isn't bad, but like I way prefer the cover, the original of Money than the um, Beatles cover, and I think we should give some credence to the first original Beatles album closer. I mean, they're obviously it's not the best one. They're going to be way better ones than this one. So, but I think we should keep it at second place for now.
What, Ben, Santiago? Either of you have any thoughts?
I'm open to having um the I'll Be Back moved up above Money. Honestly, like my initial instinct is that I feel like I listen to Money. That's why I want more often. But like I'll Be Back again. Oh, I'll Be Back is like a good song. Um, it's a pretty good song. It's probably equivalent in my mind in quality. So whichever way is really fine by me.
So, I think we have.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with them. Like, I wouldn't mind if if it's second place even. Like, I just don't mind. It's a great song after all.
Okay, it's going in second. So, right now we have Tristan Shout, I'll Be Back in Money. So, after that, we have Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby from Beatles for Sale. Alright, we're gonna start with you, Ben. Where do you think this song should be?
That's a kind of a hold one. But my instinct is the bottom. It's still a pretty good, decent cover, but it feels like it's weaker than these previous three.
Alright, Matthew.
I put it at the bottom.
Santiago?
Same. I'll put it at the bottom.
Okay, and as for myself, yeah, I've never really cared for this one, this cover. It's not even one of the better covers, in my opinion. Not even one of the better covers on the album, honestly, so bottom. After that is Dizzy Miss Lizzy from Help. It's the last cover we're gonna see here. It was the last cover Willie the Beatles, I think, ever did. So, yeah. Ben, what are your thoughts on Dizzy Miss Lizzy and where it should go?
Um, I mean, in some ways, this is where the kind of a tricky thing from the previous one we did with openers comes in. Like, as a cover of a song, I like it better than Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. But it like walks walls as an album closer. Like it just doesn't work as an album closer at all. It's just inexplicable as one. Like I will still say the question is whether we were wanting to rank these based off of how they work as closers, which this one works very poorly as, or just as like songs in and of themselves. Do you all have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I want to hear everyone else's sort of opinion, and I'll get back to you, Ben. So, Matthew, I wanted to hear from you here first.
About the song or how I personally rank the song.
Both.
I basically make it a combination of both as a song and how it closes. And for the song in individual, I would personally put it at second place. Thought it was a decent one. It's not going to be the worst one because it's got to come up soon. So I'm going to put it at second.
Santiago, I'd like to hear your thoughts.
I don't know. I would put it at the bottom as a closer. I just don't like this song. It's fine, but it's not a song I would close an album. I'm even after yesterday.
Okay.
So yeah.
I would agree that Yesterday would be a better album closer than this. If this was Yesterday was the album closer, I would have put it at number one because it's one of the best Beatles songs. Even if certain people don't like it, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Ben. But it's still a great song.
Well,
And
Ben hates Help.
yeah, he just
You
hates the
gotta
album.
hate Help. In fact, if people will clearly, other than Matthew, clearly were not paying attention to my Spotify last week, or whenever that was, the week before last, or
All right, Ben.
whenever.
Yeah, we get it.
You do not
Chris?
see my insane listening
Listen,
behavior involving
okay,
Help.
Ben. Look, I want to give my thoughts on this song before we get back to Ben here. Dizzy Miss Lizzy, I'm not as enthusiastic about it as Matthew is. I do think it comes very abruptly after Help. Help feels like a proper, really good album closer, whereas this kind of changes up the style really abruptly. I mean, it's one of only 2 covers on the album, which is kind of weird as well. It's also the weaker of the two, in my opinion. It pops. It's well delivered. I certainly like it as a song better than Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. I like its performance better, but Dizzy Miss Lizzy, it's just its placement on the album's wrong. I'd argue to some degree so was Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. Its placement wasn't good either, but yeah, Dizzy Miss Lizzy, Help is a near flawless album. The placement of Dizzy Miss Lizzy, especially as the album closer, is perhaps the only blemish on it. But despite that, I still think it's a better song, a better delivery than Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. So I'd say it should be in between Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby and Money. And Ben, we're back to you.
I'm still inclined. I mean, as an album closer, I'm still divided on it to some extent. But I think as an album closer, it's the weakest.
All right, well,
I'm gonna vote to put it at the bottom, but
okay, well,
I'm not 100% sure if I.
Ben and Santiago both want it at the bottom. I wanted it in third. Matthew wanted it. Sorry, no, I wanted it in fourth. Matthew wanted it in, I think, second.
I'm down to basically putting it either at third or fourth.
Oh well, if you're agreeing with me, Matthew, then we tie.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm willing to go over to above Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. Like, that's the other thing I was considering. I'm pretty divided on that, so.
Okay, well then, 3 of us have agreed to that, so there it goes. After that, y'all know it's coming. Y'all know it's coming.
Oh boy.
Y'all know it's coming. One for Your Life from Wubble.
Bottom. Put it at the bottom.
Ben, what do you think?
The bottom.
Matthew, you already said. Santiago, what about you?
Santiago, your
Third
thoughts?
place. I said it. I said third place.
No,
Fourth
no, no, no,
place?
no, 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 no.
Yes.
Thank
No.
I disagree.
I'll say this song. I honestly.
It's a great song.
No, it's not. Its delivery is probably better than Dizzy Miss Lizzy and Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby, but its lyrics are not good.
It's a good closer.
And even then, I'd say its delivery is below that of Money. Much as the other two above Money. And that's just delivery, to say nothing of the lyrics, which are very, very weak on this song. I'm going to agree with, Ben and Matthew. And as such,
Oh, damn it.
we were putting it at
Damn it.
It's kind of funny how Help and Rubber Soul are basically near perfect albums, and then like their, I mean, obviously one is worse than the other, but like their album covers like keeps them away from being, like, yeah, basically, or even like.
I'd say they're probably about 10 out of 10 albums, but yeah, you could since it's the last song though, you could always just stop playback before you get to that without actually skipping a song.
Like it's almost like why it's not as in the same league as like Revolver, Sergeant
Yeah.
Pepper, or
I mean, honestly,
Abbey Road.
yeah, yeah.
And
Revolver and
one can
Abbey Road.
argue, or one can argue White Album. You know, depends how you feel about that album.
Santiago, are you threatening me?
Run for your life.
I don't know.
Let's get to a good album closer.
Yep. Okay, coming up, we do have a good album closer. This
This
is
is like the sorry.
this is Tomorrow Never Knows from Revolver. All right, Ben.
It should be moved to number one.
Matthew.
I would put it at second because I'm reserving number one for one that's about to come up.
Santiago.
Turn off your mind, relax, and put it in the first place.
Okay, I'm gonna give my thoughts here. Tomorrow Never Knows, I think it's only the song here we've seen that works the best as an album closer. I still say I like, as a song, Tristan Shout better. So I'm kind of torn as to whether to put this first or second. But I do think it works better as an album closer than Tristan Shout. I think Tristan Shout works really good in the style of the album it's on as well. But Tomorrow Never Knows really works as kind of a perfect bookend to Revolver. And seeing as other people want to be in first place, I will go with that too because I think it works.
I don't mind it being in first place.
I think
I think it's like. Sorry.
It works basically really well as an album opener. So, I mean, at
Closer.
closer, album closer.
Yes, Tomorrow Never Knows was the first song on Revolver. Forget about Tax Man. We heard like a secret Revolver album where it was the reverse.
It is. Yeah, it's like the white song to end that album. It's the first one here to really make just absolutely great use of the album format. Okay. After Tomorrow Never Knows, we now have A Day in the Life from Sgt. Pepper's. So, what are your all's thoughts on Day in the Life? Ben, I'll start with you.
It should be moved to number one.
Okay, Matthew?
Number one.
Santiago?
Number one. Number 9. Number 1. Yeah, number 1.
Okay, and I also concur with that. This is even better than Tomorrow Never Knows. Also looks great as an album opener, but it's also a better song than any of these we've seen as well. So yeah.
Probably the best Beatles song of all time. I don't know.
Wait, Matthew, I thought your favorite Beatles song was I Will.
No, best. The best Beatles song.
That doesn't look like While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like the peak of their career as the Beatles. You know, like I feel this is just like the very peak of the Beatles, being creative, and being the Beatles. You know.
Well, the Beatles were always the Beatles. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. But I mean, this is just the peak of the Beatles. This is like the top of the mountain of the Beatles career. You know.
I think that the peak of Beatles is probably Abbey Road.
They reach like their peak of creativity with A Day in the Life.
It's a fantastic song.
Alright, moving on, we have from the American version of Magical Mystery Tour, All You Need Is Love, which was originally just a single that got kind of slapped on there, but, you know, it's a Beatles album closer. We discussed Magical Mystery Tour in the album opener video, so we kind of have to have it in this one, too. So, yeah, Ben, what are your thoughts on All You Need Is Love?
It's a pretty good song. I'd probably put it I'd probably put it above. That's a good question, actually.
We'll get back to you.
I'd put it over.
We'll get back.
Twist Shout, maybe.
Okay, Matthew.
I would personally put it at second place.
Santiago.
Yeah, I'll put it at second place.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm gonna say. I like this song, but we're not just here to make this song as a song, but also how well it works as an album closer. As a song, it's alright as an album closer, but it wasn't ever really meant to be an album closer by the Beatles. It's still a pretty good one, but I would say honestly, I would put it below Tristan Shout, just because Tristan Shout I think makes more sense in the context of its album. Then All You Need Is Love is like a more proper closer. Um,
Uh, can I give my counter argument?
yeah.
I think that like although All You Need Is Love is not like it wasn't intended to be the final um song of the album, it still fits very well, especially like during the end of the song where it's like when have the all that was happening and you hear us
I
fading
love
and
you, girl. Yeah.
he loves you, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. It just sounds like what you expect from a final the album closer. So that's why I
I
put
mean
it
that's
second.
that's fair. I only really wanted to put it like I didn't want to put it at the bottom. So let's see, Ben, you wanted it at two.
Three, I thought.
You wanted it at After Tomorrow Never Knows. I wanted it at four. Matthew and Santiago, I guess, were the ones who wanted it at two. So technically, Matthew and Santiago have the plurality, but me and Ben both wanted one lower. So I'd say that the compromise would be three, right?
I would keep it at two. Um, I think.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you
I'm
want
very.
to, but I'm just trying to average all positions because Matthew and Santiago want it here at two. Ben wants it here, and I want it here. So I'd say that the average position would actually be around here.
I'm willing to accept Matthew and Santiago's position, actually.
Alright, well then we will move it to two. Alright,
Oh,
so up next from the White Album we have Good Night. Ben, what are your thoughts on Good Night?
Now it's time to say goodnight. Good night. Sleep tight. Now
Ben, what are
the
your thoughts
sun
on the
comes
song?
out in
Where
front.
would you rank it?
I would put it above I'll Be Back.
Okay, Matthew?
I would honestly agree. I would put it above. I'll be back.
Santiago?
as a closer, I would put it as third place, the third place, because like it says good night, and I think it's just perfectly as as an album closer as because the title. I don't know the fact that it's hey good night. It's like yeah, this is the end of the album. Same as how they finish with good night. Well, and then the album also finishes with good night. So I think it's a good closer. So I would put it in the third place.
Okay, well, personally, now I know I'm going to be out there on this. Personally, I would have put it in between Money and Dizzy Miss Lizzy because if you ask me, it always feels kind of like it's the Disney Beatles song. It's always very like Disney esque, which is good, but it's a bit on the short side, and it always feels kind of underwhelming after Revolution 9. Like, the thing with, I said with Dizzy Miss Lizzy and One for Your Life, you could always just stop the record at that point, or, just turn off the album. With Revolution 9, if you don't want to listen to Revolution 9, you do miss this song, Goodnight, and Goodnight feels pretty short and also just kind of misplaced, if you ask me, after Revolution 9. Um, so yeah, Ben and Matthew both wanted it, what, right above I'll Be Back. So Santiago wanted it higher, but I think that's about the right position. I'm willing to concede to that, so it is going there. And we're almost done. We're almost done. So far, we haven't spent nearly as much time on this as we have on the Beatles album openers, we spent a lot of time there. We're talking about a difference between like 3 hours and 40 minutes there.
I feel like basically with the album, there was like so many choices. Like you had like Help
Yeah,
and
with the
Back in
openers,
the.
you had a lot more choice cuts with the openers than you have here with the closers. Like, as I was saying, with the exception of Tristan Shout, all the album closers from basically with the Beatles through Wobble Soul were just not what I really think of when I think of great album closers. I can think of a lot better album closers by other bands than that, which when it came to album openers, I could only think of a handful of album openers, but also or on par with what the Beatles gave us in terms of openers. So it's just kind of interesting to think about. The Beatles were really good at doing album openers, but there for a while they did struggle with closers. Anyways, up next is the Abbey Road medley, which from Abbey Road. It's kind of hard to rank this one because it's so long. I kind of thought about different ways to do this, have it just be the last couple songs. I didn't want to do just Her Majesty, but I thought about just having like Carry That Way, Golden Symbols in the end as like one, but in the end I do kind of think about these and usually listen to these as all one song, so I have just the whole thing here, but that makes this a little lopsided in some ways, but still. I want
Also,
Ben,
it's known as the long one.
the long
Uh,
one. Yeah, true. Ben, what are your thoughts on the long one?
Um, it's either number two or number one. But I'm not entirely sure which one I want, so come back to me.
Alright, Matthew, what are your thoughts on the long one?
I would put it probably at 3, maybe 4.
Santiago, what are your thoughts on the long one?
I'm having a hard time considering this a closer because instead I feel that the end is more of a closer than the whole medley. I feel the end is separate even of the medley because it doesn't have a smooth transition like the whole medley, and that's why I'm having a hard time to consider the medley a closer. And
Alright,
if so, if the end like let's suppose the end it's with the closer one, so then I will consider this one in the very top of the list
alright,
because
well,
it's the end.
okay, well, I want to say my thoughts on that as well as the song as a whole. I would say that the end is both the finale to the album, really the Beatles' career in general, and also to this song, if you can really be considered that. Um, the end isn't really exactly a proper track on its own. It's close to being there, but it's just not quite, in my opinion. But it looks really good. I would say, at the very least, I would consider, if I was separating these, I'd at least put Carry That Weight with the end, because I don't think you could even really view
I can
those.
see it transition. I can see it. The smooth transition between one another to the end because the end just starts from itself. You know,
Well,
I'm also just dead set on having a day in the life at number 1,
I
as
would
it's like
I would put I would put personally the long one, especially since they're ranking the whole thing over also the end, which is great. I'm if we were ranking just the end, I would put it below A Day in the Life. If we were but since we're ranking the whole thing, I would put it above A Day in the Life.
I would disagree, as I feel like since we have this sort of mixed reaction to like whoever is the final one or not, that kind of subtracts it from being the best one. Um, like pretty much, I think it should be at 4th, maybe 5th. Um, because I feel like A Day in the Life, All You Need Is Love, and Tomorrow Never Knows has it over. Like, basically, it has an advantage as it is basically the known final song, whereas the long one is like a melody of sorts, and it isn't clear which is the final song.
Ben,
Well, I mean, I think that there's a strong case for it being number one, and there's a strong case for it being number two. I'll vote for number one, I guess, right now, because the end is like the perfect end. A Day in the Life is also that connects.
But we're not doing the end. We're talking about the whole melody.
Yeah, but like the medley has the end as its end. I and that part of it is
But
the finale of the
Yeah.
song, the finale of the album, the finale of the discography.
well,
yeah, it works very well.
However-
Life also works very well though, but um
I would argue that basically, if we said, "Oh, we're doing the end as the final track of Abbey Road," then sure, that could be like an argument. But we're talking about the whole thing. Like
I think the whole thing actually makes it better though, not worse.
I spoke too
I'm-
soon when I said this wasn't going to take 3 hours, didn't I? I spoke too soon.
it's not going to take 3 hours because we're almost done. But I'm just saying that, if we can just do the end, you know, that's fine. But we're also taking "You're Never Gonna Give Me Your Money," "Sun King," "Mr. Mean Mustard," like all the other stuff.
Some of us were absolute bangles, Matthew.
I agree, but
Sun
also
King isn't like my favorite, but like all the rest of them were just like amazing.
I mean,
There's some-
true, that true. We
Me and Mr. Mustard sleeps in the porch,
But,
like,
ladies in the dark,
go.
trying to save people.
but there are some in the medleys that are way stronger than the other than like in that. So I'm pretty much dead set in putting it at fourth. Like, I don't think it's better than
What a mean old man! What a dirty
like
old
I
man.
don't think like basically A Day in the Life is almost like not the peak, but that's basically where like the Beatles hit a new level in their creativity musically, like, and I'm very dead set in putting it at A Day in the Life at number one.
Okay, we're gonna retally the votes. Ben, you vote for.
Number one, I guess.
Matthew, you vote for.
Fourth.
Santiago, you vote for.
Number one.
And I vote for one. So, Matthew's just outflanked on this one.
Mm.
So, okay, and last but not least, we have Get Back from Let It Be. Ben, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Get Back?
It's a pretty good song. I would put it at 3 above All You Need Is Love.
Matthew?
Fourth.
Santiago?
I'll put it in the below Tomorrow Never Knows.
Okay, well, I would personally put it probably... Like, I like this song, but it never felt like the best, like, album closer to me. It never really felt like an album closer at all to me, really. Which I guess comes partly due to the cobbled together nature of the Let It Be album. The fact that this song was, I don't think, ever really intended necessarily by Paul McCartney to be a closer. Honestly, I feel like this song may well have worked better as an album opener. Than a closer. I'm thinking, personally, I'd say in between Tristan Shout and Goodnight, which would be in 6th, but I could also see a case of honestly putting it below Goodnight and how they work as an album closer, so that could be 7th. I'm not really sure what really... I don't think anything won. So, like... What were y'all's votes again?
Fourth.
Matthew wants it Vale. Ben?
I mean, Santiago and I think agreed on a spot.
Oh, where was that?
Which was he. Wait, no, actually, no, we didn't. I misremember, but he said, yeah, I wanted it in 3.
Wait, so you wanted
Above all
this?
you need is love. And he
Okay.
wanted it above tomorrow, or below tomorrow never knows. Is that what you said, Santiago?
Yeah, yeah, below tomorrow never knows. Yeah,
So we've got spots here that are like alternating. Um, well, yeah, let it be, and two of us would have been better closers. You're right, Santiago. Um, so yeah. Anyone have any thoughts on like conflict resolution here?
I'm not moving at 4.
Ben?
I mean, I think that my placement is correct. Like, it's not like
I
the best Beatles album closal, like, or the best song on that album, but like, it's a pretty strong one.
All right,
Like,
Santiago, are you willing to compromise with me to put it below Tristan Shout?
wait a second. No, I probably put it below Tristan Shout because with Let It
Below. Yeah, I
Be,
was gonna put it below Tristan Shout.
because Let It Be has
Matthew,
way
you're one of the
better.
people who want. You were one of the people who wanted above Tristan Shout.
Well, hear me out. There are better potential album clovers. I personally think that The Long and Winding Road sounds like a better final track of the final published Beatles album
I agree.
than Get Back. Like Get Back could be like either track 1 or track 2 or whatever. And Long and Winding Road sounds like a better final one than Get Back.
Um. Okay. Well. Um. I mean, I'll agree with that, Matthew. So Matthew, you're conceding to putting it below Tristan Shout?
Yes.
All right. Well, then me and Matthew have agreed. Um. It is going below Tristan Shout. So here is the final list. Didn't take us 3 hours this time. Wow. So at number 12 we have One for Your Life, the absolute bottom, the absolute worst Beatles album closer. We were close to consensus on this, although Santiago I think is still mad about this. Is that right, Santiago?
wait, what did you say?
Are you still mad at us for putting One for Your Life at the bottom?
Oh well, like I really feel that I'm not mad, but I'm just kind of disappointed that Run for Your Life ended up being in such low place, because I feel this Miss Lizzy, this Miss Lizzy would have been instead the one at the last position. But yeah, that's just my opinion after all.
Desi Miss Lizzy sticks out more musically as a sore thumb than One for Your Life, but One for Your Life is very problematic lyrically. Um, so yeah. Alright, at number 11, the next worst Beatles album opener, we have Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. That is number 11. At 10, we have Dizzy Miss Lizzy. Once again, we're still kind of at the bottom of the barrel here. 9, we have getting kind of into the better ones. Money, That's What I Want. 8 is I'll Be Back. 7 is Good Night. 6 is Get Back. And then going into the top 5, the like really good ones, like the top tier of the top tier, we have Twist and Shout, Tomorrow Never Knows, which works really well as an album opener in my opinion, even if it's probably a less good song than Twist and Shout. At 3 we have All You Need Is Love, at 2 we have A Day of a Life, and at 1 we have Abbey Medley. I certainly like how the top 2 came out. I don't know about the rest of you. What have the rest of you feel about this? How this turned out?
Honestly, I really, I'm happy with this list. Like, I feel this one was more accurate in the level of ranking regarding the album closers compared to the openers. I will even say, yeah. Honestly, this is not a bad list. The only My only complaint was Run for Your Life, but that's only it.
All right, Ben and Matthew, what are your final thoughts on the list?
That One for Your Life is in fact not good. This list is all right. It's like it's mostly correct, I'd say. Yeah.
Matthew? Dang, Matthew fell asleep.
Good night, man. So,
Good night.
honestly, it's
Sleep
only
tight.
sleeping. Only sleeping.
I'm only sleeping. So yeah, on that note, everyone, thank you all for watching this video. I hope you liked the whole list and all kind of hearing all thoughts on all these songs. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe. That helps me out a lot. Have a great rest of your day. Good night, sleep tight, and I'll see you in the next video.
And in the end, the love you take
You
is equal to the
take
love you
me.
make.